hero is Hiram Bingham because he was the guy who discovered Machu Picchu, the little hidden city of the mountains. I think that was pretty cool of him to, be going adventuring, looking up all these legends, not even knowing if it's real, and then going and finding it.
My role model and my mentor here at the school has brought me a long way from what I used to be, which is slow and shy and to myself. He has opened me up a bit through his encouragement and selflessness. He's able to take time off just to talk with me and help me through my classes, and I like that about him.
Probably my biggest role model is Eartha Kitt. She was known for leading the movement during the Vietnam War against the war in Vietnam, and she actually got kicked out of our country for it. And now, of course, she's also Catholic, so that makes her even cooler.
My hero is Tina Owens because she's a great person, because she loves everyone, and she always has a smile on her face.
I think Tina, the lead principal, inspires me. She's a hero to me because she's proving she made a school where everybody is with, everybody's friends with everybody, everybody loves one another, and she's really awesome. And she's I think another message is women can, it's like a women empowered message.
My hero, as some people here know, is the astronaut, Harrison Schmitt, who was the only scientist to actually walk on the moon, because for the most part, all the moon guys were, and they were all guys, were fighter pilots, basically. They were all test pilots or pilots of some sort. They weren't in any way, shape, or form scientists. And he was on the last mission to the moon. He went to the moon. He got to do geology, collect rocks, and that sort of thing. Came back, and he's been senator. He has been a college professor. He's done all kinds of stuff. And right now, he's actually a professor at the UW. And I think what most impresses me about him is that we have a student here who was persistent about calling him, but eventually got to do a half-hour phone interview with this guy who'd been on the moon. Just the fact that, I think he's in his late 70s at this point. Just the fact that this guy is very important. He's done really interesting things for science and for education, and he's still willing to talk to a 13-year-old or 14-year-old. He's still putting his, it's not just all words for him, it's also actions, I guess.
That would be my dad, who's now deceased. But I don't know, he was just a cool guy. He was in education. He was a principal for many, many years. He was involved in hunter safety, education, and on his own time for free taught more than 3,000 students how to hunt safely in the woods. He was an outdoorsman, and I'm not. He was a fisherman, and I am. But he was just a very stable, well-rounded, focused kind of guy. I think one of the things that I admired most about him is that he was silent a lot. He didn't fill his world with blah, blah, blah. But when he spoke, it was thoughtful, it was reflective, and people listened to him when he spoke because he was able to really put all the pieces of a puzzle together in his head before it came out of his mouth.
Well, one of them might be this girl in my school, transgender like me. I call her JoJo.
Okay.
Because she's really pretty and I like her style. She's really fun, and I guess my mom and all the strong LGBT people out there that are open and are not afraid of being judged and stuff.
My hero is Freddie Mercury because to me he is the epitome of all people. I don't think anybody could do the things that he has done. He's an amazing performer that everyone has to base their performance off of. If you can't do as well as Freddie Mercury did, then you're nothing. To me, he's amazing. He's an advocate for gay people as well. I mean, he was one of the first few in the 70s to admit that he was bisexual, and most people don't know that. I mean, he's such a great advocate for what we stand for here in the school.
The most important part of this movement varies from person to person, but I think it all comes down to one thing in the end.
The most important part is probably anti-discrimination, telling people that it's not okay to hold people back from doing what everyone else can do because they're different.
Groups like GSAs.
Why?
Because they inform people about that community, or members of the LGBT community are not AIDS-infested furry monsters.
I think that the most important part is that people are finally getting their voices heard. For years and years and years, people who are LGBT have been, they've been killed because they finally admit who they are, and that's going on still today. But it's nice to see that people are brave enough to come out and let their voices be heard, because without that, I don't think that it would be as strong. So I think that people who actually identify as LGBT, them coming out and telling their stories and getting their voices heard is really what's, pushing the whole movement.
Just educating people on the fact that just because someone's different doesn't make them bad. They're still a person, they still have feelings. LGBT people are just the same as everyone else, and they need to be respected and listened to.
The most important part of it, it's activism to the degree that it hits the streets. That's where, if you look throughout history, and I write in I wrote a book, Sexuality and Socialism, History, Politics, and Theory of LGBT Liberation, and one of the things that just sort of comes out screaming to the fore is that history doesn't move in some sort of linear progression upward. We haven't just sort of moved in a better position than we were at the Stonewall riots, for example, in '69, that at moments when people have been passive and left the streets, that's where we see a deterioration of our rights, and where people have taken the streets, mobilized, and acted in solidarity, that's where we've won the most. So that, to me, is the grand lesson.
That one thing is ending hate.